want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day, my book, The Mirror of Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
DreAllDay.com.
Couldn't be in a better place at a better time than tuning into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. This is the go-getter energy that moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, you get the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the book, the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to mind your business. I don't know why I haven't talked about this topic before. I was looking through the archive of this podcast, which is 1,300 episodes strong, and I had not done an episode on how to mind your business, but we're going to talk about it here today. First of all, let's get clear on what business is. Business is the exchange of resources between people. Usually that resource, one of those resources usually involves money. The other end of that exchange usually is maybe usually a good or a service. Actually, it's usually a product or a service, something tangible you're handing to somebody, something virtual that they can utilize, or a service that they will have access to and can use, maybe a service that works for them in exchange for the money. That's what business is. Today's episode is how to keep your mind on your business, whatever your business happens to be. Because the only way any of us advances in life is by creating exchanges. If you think about that, if you consider yourself to not be a business person, or you don't think you're much of a salesperson, or you hate business or you hate sales, the only way you make any advances in life, the only way you have made any advances in life is by creating exchanges. You exchange products and services for money. You perform duties in exchange for a job that comes with a check. That's an exchange. You exchange value for attention, such as creating a blog post or a YouTube video in exchange for people's attention. They have to actually watch the video to know what you're talking about. That's an exchange. This is your business. Whatever exchanges you are creating on a consistent basis, the ones that matter most to you, that is your business. And your mind needs to be on it. And today's episode is how to keep your mind on it. Because if you're not minding your business, that business probably is not going to do too well. And usually, since we're pretty smart people, and I've already told you that studies show, and this is not tongue in cheek, studies show that podcast listeners tend to be smarter, more intelligent, make more money, and have a longer attention span than people who are not podcast listeners. I'm assuming that you listening to this, you're probably pretty smart. So if your mind is on your business will probably do better if you keep your mind on it for a sustained period of time, simply because the law of averages, you're just a smart individual. If a smart person focuses on something, they're probably going to get the kind of results that they want out of it. So today we're going to talk about minding your business. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is how to mind your business. First of all, you got to know what business you're in. Do you know what business you're in? Episode number 1273, we just talked about. That was the question. What business are you in? If you didn't listen to that episode, you should pause this one, go listen to that one, and then you can come pick this one back up where you are right now. Because if you don't know what business you're in, it's impossible for you to mind it. There are a lot of aims in life that we can aim for. And these days we can aim for 1,000 different aims. And 5 minutes from now, there'll be 10 more aims that you could possibly aim for that are all openly available to you right now. And they'll probably stay available to you for the foreseeable future. So you need to know what your chief aim is, your definite chief aim. I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Napoleon Hill says the starting point of all success and achievement is knowing what you are going after. If you don't know what your definite aim is, if you don't know what business you're in, it is impossible for you to become successful because you have no idea where you're going. A successful person, as I talked about in my book, The Mental Workbook, if you don't have it, get it at workonmygame.com/workbook. The successful person is the person who has an outcome that they are after, and they are making efforts to get to that outcome. The moment that you are not making efforts to get to an outcome, you are unsuccessful. If you're a person who has no outcomes, you're a failure. If you're a person who has outcomes but you're not doing anything to go after them, you're a loser. You must have an aim, and you must be going after it to be a successful person. So you must know what business you're in order to achieve success. So episode 1273 will help you figure that out. There are a lot of aims that we can aim for. You got to know what your definite chief aim is. So when you have options as to what you can aim for, when you got all these different things that you could be doing, you can make a smart decision. All right, I could do thing A, B, C, D, E, or F. Which one of these is going to get me closer to best positioning my business? Which one is going to get me closer to my definite chief aim? Which one is going to get me closest to my outcome in the most efficient way? That's how you decide which one you're going to do, which ones you're not going to do at all, and maybe which ones you will do overall, but you can put them in order. You can make a hierarchy. Or I'll do E, then C, then B. Because E is the one that will get me closest to achieving my outcome right now. Then C, then B. But you got to know what your outcome is. You got to know what business you're in order to make that decision. The problem that many of us have is that while we think we have all of these options and all these different things we can do, and we're right about that, we are also unclear on what our definite chief aim is. We have no idea what business we're in. So we're doing all these different things, having no idea where we're going with it. So we got all these things going on, but to what end? Where are we going? Where is all this taking us? If you don't have any idea, then it's impossible for you to be successful, even though you could be doing a whole lot of things. You could be very busy, yet very unproductive at the same time. And in my course, 25 hours, you will learn how to cure yourself of that bad habit of being busy yet unproductive. In 25 hours, you can purchase that course if you want a la carte by going to workonmygame.com/time, TIME, or you could join the game group membership and you can get access to that course as part of your membership in the game group at workonmygame.com/game group. There you go right there. I'm giving you options. Which one's going to get you closer to your outcome in the most efficient way? It's a question that you got to answer. Sometimes when we reach success, we have achieved an outcome, we start stepping out of our lanes and away from the very thing that helped us win in the first place. So once you achieve an outcome, first of all, you got to have another outcome to go after. Maybe it's to go deeper in the outcome that you're already in. Maybe it's to continue to establish a stronghold where you already are. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to have an outcome. I'm not telling you what outcome is good and what outcome is bad. I'm just telling you need to have one. If you don't have one, that's not a good thing. I talked about how KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, tried to turn themselves into Kentucky Grilled Chicken because they decided that they wanted to be a more health conscious. But that was a bad idea because they should have just continued to establish their stronghold in fried chicken. Luckily enough for them, they were established enough in fried chicken that after their failed attempt to become Kentucky Grilled Chicken, they were able to turn things around and go back to where they had been, and the audience came right back to them. In basketball, some players are great on defense, and that's how they stay employed. I told you a story a few episodes ago about knowing who you're not, and how I saw this basketball player who was on the court. What's the reason? Solely, that's the word I'm looking for. He was on the court solely because he was a good defensive force. He was a tall guy. He could block shots and he could grab rebounds, but he wanted to prove that he could do something on offense. And he started messing up because he figured that he could prove that he was a 20-point per game scorer, which he was not. And he stopped focusing on the defense, the very thing that made him useful and hurt his opportunity to even be on the court. So then they had to sit his ass on the bench, and he couldn't help the team at all, and he couldn't help himself at the same time, simply because he forgot what business he was in. Or rather, maybe he didn't want to acknowledge what business he was in. This is something that happens often in sports. You get people who don't want to play their role. It's not just a sports thing. This is in sports. This is in relationships. This is in business. This is at jobs. This is just all over life. There are people who their best business will be to do this thing, yet they believe they're better than that. They believe they're worth more than that. Oh, I got more game than that. I have more capabilities than that. I can go further than that. And then they forget, or not even they forget, they never come to understand in the first place what business they would be most efficient in. They try to be in a business that they're not good at, and they end up destroying their whole opportunity simply because of that. And they never get to maximize the opportunity they would have had they just decided, focused on the business that made the most sense for them. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to mind your business. You got to press your advantage. Once you figure out what business you're in, the next step is to press on your advantage, meaning wherever you have some positive outcomes showing up, wherever you see that you're getting more results from that thing than you're getting from anything else, that's the thing that you probably need to keep doing. Not all the time, but most of the time, that's the thing you need to keep doing. For example, Kentucky Fried Chicken. They were doing great by selling this fried chicken to a bunch of people who wanted to eat fried chicken, even though we all know that eating fried chicken is probably not the healthiest option if you're going to eat it all the time. I mean, you can eat it now and then. Listen, I eat fried chicken now and then, but I'm not going to eat it every single day. So Kentucky Fried Chicken overstepped their boundaries. They forgot to press their advantage, and they said, oh, maybe we need to be a little bit more healthy. But they didn't realize that there are millions and millions of people out there in the world who every now and then, maybe some more often than others, don't want to be healthy. All right, they don't want grilled chicken, they want fried chicken. So KFC wasted some time, lost themselves a whole lot of money, and they had to, some people probably lost their jobs because of that decision to become Kentucky Grilled Chicken. They did not press their advantage. Pressing your advantage means maximizing the results that you're already getting from an area that you have already proven to be great at, that is already producing a return on investment. That's what pressing your advantage means. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, once you have proved that you are good at something and is working for you and you're getting results from it, there's nothing wrong with continuing to do that thing. Yes, you can evolve at that thing. Yes, you can get better at it. Yes, you can offer innovations at it, but you don't have to go start 10 new things just because the world has changed, just because it's a new day, just because it's a new month or a new year, or you got 10 friends doing 10 other different things. You don't have to do 10 different things just because time has moved on. If the one thing that you're great at is proving to produce an ROI for you and is continuing to do so, you should continue to press on that advantage. Look at people who have become very successful, people whose books you read, who have biographies out there, people who you follow, people who you're fans of. Usually it's because they establish themselves as great at something, and they just keep doing that thing over and over again. Yes, they offer changes and updates and innovations within that thing, but they stick to doing that thing. Steve Jobs, what did he do? I mean, what device are you listening to this on right now? He's cut Apple's product line down to a few products, deleted all that other stuff, and focused on a few things: that laptop computer, desktop computer, and then these devices, these portable devices. There was the iPod first, then the iPhone, then the tablet, and he stayed in that lane. Apple didn't start making food. They didn't start making clothes. They didn't start making, I don't know, what else could Apple have made? They could have made anything. They were so popular and still so popular right now. They could pretty much make anything and they'll make a couple of hours off of it. But what are they focusing on? Where they are good at. They're trying to maximize their advantage where they are, because that's the category that they own. You need to figure out where your advantage is and press on that advantage and not try to do a whole bunch of other things. Just recently, and by the time you're listening to this, basketball season has begun. Damian Lillard, who's a point guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, all-star player, pretty good player. He was in a back and forth rap battle with legendary basketball player Shaquille O'Neal. Now, Shaq had done some rapping. Those of you old enough to remember, back in the 90s when Shaq had first come into the NBA, he was wildly popular on the court and off the court. Shaq had done some rapping. He had made some albums himself. And Damian Lillard, he's doing the same thing now. He's not as popular, not nearly as popular as Shaquille O'Neal was, nor is he as nearly as successful on the court as Shaquille O'Neal was. But he has decided to start making rap albums. And this past summer, Damian Lillard actually released a full-length rap album. He did some videos and all these things. And from what I've heard from Damian Lillard, his rap name is Dame Dollar, I guess we should call him. He considers himself a serious rapper. He doesn't want to be looked at the way, I remember when Shaquille O'Neal came out with his rap album and his songs and stuff. People were looking at it kind of like as a gimmick. It was like, all right, you got Shaq, this great basketball player, but he also is making some music. It was fun. It was interesting. Shaq was so popular. He went platinum. He sold millions of records more than once. Shaquille O'Neal did. But Damian Lillard says, well, I'm not like that. I'm not just some basketball player rapping like as a gimmick and it's funny and I'm just capitalizing on my basketball success. I'm an actual rapper. I put real time into this. I'm a real rapper. This is how Damian Lillard wants to be perceived in the rap game. Now, while I understand, and we're still on point number 2, which is pressing your advantage. While I understand that Damian Lillard is, compared to Shaquille O'Neal, he's much more current, so to speak. The younger generation much more identify with Dame than they will with Shaq, because Shaq doesn't even play anymore. Everybody knows who he is, but Shaq doesn't play anymore. In the basketball world, he's a TNT analyst, right? Dame is the current guy, and probably if I was to just measure them in a vacuum, I would say Damian Lillard is probably a better rapper than Shaquille O'Neal. That's still not saying much. All right? It's like saying I'm a better basketball player than Drake. All right? I am, but I mean, what am I really proving by saying that? It's not really saying a lot. And both guys get listened to for one reason. All right, this is the point that I want to make here. Both Shaquille O'Neal, when he was rapping back in the 90s, and Damian Lillard, when he's rapping right now, we listen to their raps for one reason and one reason only. Here it is. Because they are famous basketball players. We're not listening to Damian Lillard because he's a great rapper. We're listening to Damian Lillard because he's a point guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, and he decided to start rapping. That's the same reason we listen to Shaq. Not because he was good at rapping. Maybe he was good, maybe he wasn't. But what made Shaq sell albums was the fact that Shaq was a great basketball player. And if you remember, the point that we're talking about here today is what? Pressing your advantage. Damian Lillard's money skill is his ability to play basketball. How do I know this? because he's a professional basketball player. If his money skill was rapping, he'd be a rapper playing basketball on the side. But it's the other way around. He's a basketball player who raps on the side. All right, the same way that Drake is a rapper who plays basketball. It seems like Drake plays basketball for fun. All right, he plays for fun. All right, Damian Lillard wants people to think that he's this serious rapper. Well, Damian Lillard, if you're listening to this, if you were a serious rapper, you'd be a rapper playing basketball for fun. There's a reason why you're a basketball player who's rapping on the side. All right, because your money skill, the thing that you're good at, is playing basketball. All right, if it was rapping, you'd be a rapper. He's the current guy, and again, he might be better than Shaq, but who cares? Better at rapping than Shaq? Or a lot of people are better at rapping than Shaq. What are you actually proving? All right, both of these guys get listened to because they're famous in basketball. The fact is, since this was a battle, I'll offer my opinion right here, so it was on the record. I wrote about this in email already. Those of you on my email list, if you're listening to this podcast, you should be on my email list. So go to workonmygame.com. You can get on it. The fact of the matter is, both of them being basketball players as their full-time jobs, their main paid profession, Damian Lillard has not achieved what Shaq did on the basketball court. Basketball is the golden goose for both of these guys. And we talked about the golden goose many times. This is what I mean when I say pressing your advantage. Know what your golden goose is and keep feeding it. Or don't ignore the golden goose because you're trying to feed this orange goose and this black goose over there and the white goose over there and the green goose over there. You better keep feeding the golden goose before the golden goose dies. Because when those eggs stop getting laid, there's going to be a problem. Basketball is the golden goose for both of these guys. Damian Lillard, for whatever reason, wants people to think that he's also a serious rapper. All right, if your golden goose is basketball, maximize this first. And let me tell you something else about Shaquille O'Neal for those of you who may be too young to remember any of this. When Shaquille O'Neal stopped rapping, and he stopped doing movies, and he stopped putting albums out, and he stopped doing anything off the court. He stopped doing anything besides playing basketball. You didn't see Shaq's name, and when you stop seeing his name in everything other than basketball, you know what happened? Anybody know what happened when he stopped doing everything else? He started winning championships. He won 3 championships in a row when he stopped making movies, when he stopped rapping, when he stopped doing so many commercials and all that other stuff. You know why? Why is this? Because some people may think, like Damian Lillard may think, and maybe if you're a supporter of Dame Dollar, maybe you think this too. You think, well, look, basketball is not 24 hours a day. You know, I have plenty of downtime. I can do more than one thing. I don't have to just stick to doing one thing. I can do a whole lot of things. If I'm good at 10 things, I should be able to do 10 things. And if I got the resources and the opportunity to do 10 things, I can do 10 things. Well, listen, I'm not telling you that you're wrong. What I'm going to tell you, all of you out there, whether you are saying this as a supporter or you're thinking it as yourself, when you are not paying enough attention, full attention to your golden goose, to pressing your main advantage, you will not get full return on investment from that advantage. That's just the way that it works. Shaquille O'Neal is and was more talented at basketball than most of us are at pretty much anything. And he couldn't win a championship when he was doing everything. He was doing all these other things in addition to basketball. As soon as he stopped doing all the other things, he started winning championships. Is that a coincidence? Many people think it is because everybody who comes along and they reach some amount of success in their main thing, they start thinking, well, I could do all these other things too. Dwayne Wade is another guy. Miami Heat player. I live in Miami. I remember when he won his championship in 2006 and people was like, man, Dwayne Wade might be the best player in the league. Dwayne Wade might be better than Kobe Bryant. Dwayne Wade is the reason the Heat won that championship. And over the next year or so, Dwayne Wade started doing all these other things. I remember this. Social media wasn't as big as it is now, but I remember reading an article. Dwayne Wade was on the cover of a magazine. I believe it was ESPN, the magazine, and it was a defiant quote from Dwayne Wade on the cover that said, "Is my life, I know what I can take on." And the whole cover story was about Dwayne Wade doing all these other ventures outside of basketball. And this was before the whole more than an athlete era where athletes just believed they had to prove that they could do more than play sports and do all these other things. This was just the beginning of it. This when it was a new thing for an athlete to be doing a bunch of other stuff aside from playing sports because, back then, this is back when athletes were proud to just be athletes. But now, athletes got to be everything else. So Dwayne Wade was one of the first. He was one of the people on the forefront, at the forefront of this. He had won his championship, proving that he was one of the best players in the NBA. So he was doing all these other things. He had endorsement deals. I remember he opened a restaurant down in Miami. He had a bunch of things going on. That's what the whole article was about. Everything other than Dwayne Wade, the basketball player, right? And you know what happened over the next couple of years after the Heat won that championship in 2006? Between 2007 and 2007-08, from that time period into 2009, Dwayne Wade got injured injury after injury after injury. His team was terrible. That championship team completely crumbled and fell apart. His team didn't make the playoffs one year. He basically had to shut himself down because he was so injured. His body was breaking down, and people were wondering, is this guy ever going to be the same player that he was in 2006? Again, I ask you, is this a coincidence? As soon as he started doing all these other things, all of a sudden his body started breaking down. All of a sudden he stopped winning on the basketball court. All of a sudden his basketball career itself was in question. As soon as he started doing everything else. And then as soon as he stopped doing everything else, he got with a guy named Tim Grover, who wrote a book called Relentless. It was a great book that you should read, even if you're not an athlete. He worked with Tim over the summer, I believe in 2008. And then Dwayne Wade came back. He had a great season in 2009, his best season in the league. 2010, another great season. That summer, a guy named LeBron James went and signed with the Miami Heat, and the Heat started winning championships all over again because they started focusing on the golden goose all over again. Again, is this a coincidence? When you press your advantage or whatever it is you're great at, your main thing, you will maximize your returns from the main thing. Now, look. Let me offer a contingency for you. If you want to just be okay at your main thing and you want to do 10 other things at the same time, nobody's telling you that you can't. Nobody's going to stop you from doing it. If you have the time and the talent and you believe you can take it all on, nobody's going to stop you from doing it. Listen, Damian Lillard can make a rap album every summer if he wants to. I'm not sure he's going to win an NBA championship making rap albums at the same time. Why? I don't know. I've been a professional basketball player. I can tell you from experience, it does not take 24 hours a day to be a pro basketball player. We do have downtime. You can rap in your downtime if you want to, but I've never seen anybody rapping in their downtime and winning a championship in their uptime. It's never happened. Shaq didn't do it. Dwayne Wade couldn't do it. Well, he wasn't rapping, but he didn't do it. Kobe Bryant was rapping. He didn't do it. Michael Jordan, he never made a rap album. Now, how many championships he won? Coincidence? You tell me. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to mind your business. Stop paying attention to what everybody else is doing. This is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge for all of us the further we go along in our current world, because every single day more and more people are letting us know what they're doing. More and more people can broadcast their lives through video, through social media, through blogging, through podcasting, through everything. Everybody can put themselves out there any way that they want to, and we can be voyeurs watching what everybody else is doing as much as we want. You can spend an entire day just looking at, reading, watching, listening to what everybody else is doing. So this is a discipline right here. This is not something that's just going to happen by default. You have to choose to do this. Stop paying attention to what everybody else is doing. We as humans can focus on only one thing at a time. So if you're focusing on what somebody else is doing, there's a problem, because now we got 2 people looking at them and nobody looking at you. Nobody feeding your goose, but 2 people feeding their goose. All right, your goose is going to die of starvation and probably of thirst too. Every minute you spend looking at somebody else's business is another minute you're not looking at your own business. One thing that the most successful and productive people do, here it is. You want to be more successful, and maybe that's too vague of a term. You want to be a more productive person. Anytime I work with a business person, I ask them, what are their challenges? What are some of the things that I can help you work on? Almost invariably, they mention productivity. I want to be more productive. I have things that I want to do, and I know what they are. I just want to get more of it done more often, faster, more efficiently, and get more return for that investment. They want to be more productive. So let me give you a quick tip that you can start applying right now to be a more productive individual. Here it is. Pay no attention to what everybody else is doing. If you just do that, you'll be much more productive immediately. I mean, starting right now. And I'm not even charging you for that tip. Success is selfish in this way, ladies and gentlemen. Success is a team sport, because even if you're not on a team and you're not playing a team sport, if it's just you by yourself, you're still going to have to give value to others in order to become successful. You can't be successful just doing things for yourself. But at the same time, the success as a team sport is also selfish in this way, that you do not invest your energy, your time, your attention, or your focus into anyone else, unless you absolutely have to, unless it is somehow connected back to your business. You are selfish with your success in that while you're at work, even if you work from home, even if you work from Starbucks, you are not taking personal calls or getting on social media or wasting time on bullshit from 9 to 5, because that's the time that you're supposed to be doing what? Minding your business. Do you have this discipline? Have you ever thought of this discipline? Can you apply this discipline? You might have answered no to the first 2 questions. You absolutely better answer yes to the third one. And here's the 4th one. It's an open-ended question. I'm gonna let you sit with this one. When are you gonna start applying it? as we recap today's topic, which is how to mind your business. Knowing that business is the exchange of resources between people. The only way any of us advances is by creating exchanges. If you're exchanging your products or services for money, such as in entrepreneurship. If you have a job, you're performing duties in exchange for that job, and usually that job comes with a check. If you're exchanging value in exchange for people's attention, such as being an influencer or building your brand, all of these are exchanges and all of them are business. If you're not minding your business is probably not going to do too well. Point number one, how do you do this? Number one, know what business you're in. Episode 1273, I talked about this in detail. Go listen to it. There are a lot of aims that we can aim for, and every day there are more aims we can aim for. You need to know what your main aim is, so when you have all these options in front of you, you are disciplined enough to make smart choices about what to engage in and what to ignore. Sometimes when we reach success, we start stepping out of our lane and stop pressing on our advantage like KFC did when they tried to brand themselves as a grilled chicken company. That was stupid. But you want to prove that you can do more than what you've already been doing. Why? If your main thing is working, keep working on the main thing. All right, it's working for you. You keep working for it. That's the way that it works. Point number two, press your advantage. Maximize the results that you are getting from the area that you are great at until, or at least up to, and then keep doing it, of getting the most that you can get out of it, getting to the top level of whatever it is you're doing. Damian Lillard, basketball player, great player, not a champion, not a superstar, but a great player, dissing Shaquille O'Neal in rapping. He's a current guy, probably a better rapper than Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, that's not saying much. Again, I can say I'm a better basketball player than Drake, but what am I actually proving by saying that? Both of these guys get listened to because they're famous basketball players, not because either one of them is a good rapper. And I've listened to both of them rap. Neither one of them is good, but they're both popular in rap because they are leveraging their basketball skill, which should be a hint to both of them and to all of us out there. The reason anyone's listening to them rap is because they can play ball, not because they can rap. If you weren't playing ball, you would not be rapping. Nobody, or at least actually you would be rapping, but nobody would be listening to it. Meaning their golden goose is basketball. All right, the golden goose of basketball allows everything else. But if you're not paying attention to the golden goose, you're not getting the biggest, freshest, best eggs that you could be getting from that goose. And maybe you're okay with that. Maybe some people are okay with not getting the most they can get out of their golden goose. If that's who you are, then listen, some of the things I'm going to say here today are going to go against your principles, or some things I'm going to say here every day are going to go against your principles. But what I talk about here is helping you first of all, identify, birth and grow that golden goose and keep feeding it well so that it keeps laying those golden eggs. But if you want to try to feed three geese at the same time, one of those geese might die. One of them might get jealous and you'll never know which one is the best one because you never put all your resources into it. Point number three, stop paying attention to what everybody else is doing. We can focus on only one thing at a time. So every minute you're looking at someone else's business is another minute you're not looking at your own business. And spend enough minutes not looking at your own business, eventually you're going to come back and realize there is no business remaining. The one thing that most successful and productive people do is they pay zero attention to everyone else. This is the way in which success is selfish. You got to be selfish in understanding this is my golden goose and I'm going to put everything into this goose to get as much as I can out of this goose and not diversify myself, not try to spread out, not try to do all these different things just because I can. This is a discipline, ladies and gentlemen. You can do 20 different things right now, but are you disciplined enough to focus on the one that is going to produce the maximum ROI? Do you even know what it is? If you don't, go back and listen to the episode I already referred you to. Now, in the game group, there is a focus, there is a discipline, there is a mental toughness category. Each one of them, there are categories of where I took all the episodes of this show in which I have specifically discussed that topic and put them in a category so you can listen to all of them. You can pick and choose. You can pick and choose, pinpoint each one individually. You can go listen to each episode by number since they've started back in 2016. I'm talking from episode number 1, over 800 hours of material just from this podcast alone in the game group. But listen, there are 40 other categories in the game group aside from the episodes of this podcast. So if you don't understand the value of what I'm offering you in the game group, I understand that you don't understand because you're just hearing me talk about it. So what you should do is go to workonmygame.com/game group. Look at the video at the top of the screen where I'm showing you what it looks like in the back end of the game group membership so you can see exactly what you're going to see when you start your membership. And I'm going to give you 2 weeks to use the game group membership completely for free so you can feel and experience exactly what you're getting so you know the exact value that you are getting in exchange for the price. The price to start, 2 weeks free. Go to workonmygame.com/game group, get started, and let's get it on. Work on your game. Dre all day.